It's a sunny morning in a quaint small town where the golden light of dawn gently bathes the streets. The air is alive with the cheerful chirping of birds, setting a peaceful and inviting tone for the day ahead. Inside a small but cozy home, we meet Chloe. She's a high school girl with big dreams but little means. Sitting at her desk, Chloe gazes out the window, her chin resting in her hand. Her room is filled with books and scattered notebooks, but her focus is elsewhere. Everyone has a phone except me, she thinks, her heart sinking as memories of her classmates teasing her flood her mind. They called her old-fashioned and made jokes about her invisible phone. Her eyes drift to her empty piggy bank on the desk. She picks it up, shakes it, and sighs as silence fills the air. "I'll get there," she whispers to herself. "I just need to work for it." With determination lighting up her face, Chloe tightens her resolve. As Chloe sits by the window, staring out at her small neighborhood, an idea begins to take shape in her mind. She can help out at home and around the neighborhood to earn the money she needs. Excitement flickers in her eyes, and she grabs a notebook to jot down her plan. Chloe's journey begins in her own home. The sun streams through the kitchen window as she scrubs the floor on her hands and knees. She looks at the spotless tiles with a small, satisfied smile. In the backyard, Chloe hangs freshly washed clothes on a line. The gentle breeze rustles the fabric as she hums a tune. Nearby, her piggy bank sits on a table, a constant reminder of her goal. Later, Chloe dusts shelves and rearranges books in the living room. Her mother passes by and smiles. "You're doing great, Chloe," her mother had said earlier, and the words replay in Chloe's mind, giving her the motivation to push on. Outside her home, one warm afternoon, she kneels in Mrs. Green's flower bed, her hands covered in dirt as she plants colorful flowers. "You've got quite the green thumb, Chloe," Mrs. Green had told her. Chloe had simply smiled and said, "I'm happy to help." Later, Chloe is sprinkling life over the plants she nurtured. A butterfly flutters down, landing on her hand. She'd laughed, whispering, "Hey there, little guy," before watching it flit away. Winter mornings brought a different challenge. Bundled in a scarf and gloves, Chloe trudged through the snow, her shovel in hand. "Thanks for clearing the path, Chloe," Mr. Thompson, her neighbor, had said one morning, handing her a small tip and a warm cup of cocoa. She'd smiled, grateful for the kindness and the progress toward her dream. Chloe did whatever she could to earn a little extra. She walked dogs in the park for one neighbor, fed a curious cat for another neighbor. One afternoon, she painted a picket fence for an elderly homeowner. "Thank you, Chloe," the man had said, patting her shoulder. "You've got a good heart." In the midst of her efforts, Chloe formed a special bond with Mrs. Collins, an elderly woman in her neighborhood. One sunny afternoon, Chloe watered Mrs. Collins's garden while the older woman sat on her porch, knitting. "You're always so busy, Chloe," Mrs. Collins had asked. "What's got you working so hard?" Chloe said, "I'm saving for a phone. My classmates tease me because I don't have one." Mrs. Collins had nodded thoughtfully. "You're a good girl, Chloe. Keep working hard and good things will come your way." Chloe had smiled, accepting a plate of cookies Mrs. Collins offered, feeling a sense of warmth and encouragement. Finally, after months of hard work, Chloe had saved enough. She went to the store and bought a shiny new iPhone. Setting up the phone in the store, she couldn't resist taking her first selfie. Walking home, Chloe clutched her new phone tightly. Her grin was wide, her joy immeasurable. But happiness turned to panic when Chloe saw Mrs. Collins lying on the sidewalk, clutching her chest. Without hesitation, Chloe rushed to her side. "Mrs. Collins," she thought frantically, "hold on!" Pulling out her new phone, Chloe quickly dialed 911, her hands trembling. She stayed by Mrs. Collins' side, holding her hand and reassuring her until the ambulance arrived. Later that evening, as Chloe returned home, relief that Mrs. Collins was in good hands gave way to shock. Her phone was gone. Retracing her steps, Chloe searched everywhere, the sidewalk, the hospital, even the Apple store, but the phone was nowhere to be found. Back in her room, Chloe collapsed onto her bed, tears streaming down her face. "Why did this have to happen?" she whispered into the darkness. The next morning, Chloe awoke to find a package on her doorstep. Inside was a note. "Dear Chloe, your kindness saved my life. Please accept this gift as a token of my gratitude. Mrs. Collins." Opening the package, Chloe gasped. Inside was a brand new iPhone, MacBook, and iPad. Tears of gratitude filled her eyes. Later, Chloe visited Mrs. Collins in the hospital, bringing her a bouquet of flowers. "Thank you, Mrs. Collins," Chloe thought as they shared a warm hug. "You're a wonderful girl, Chloe," Mrs. Collins had said. "Never stop being who you are." Though Chloe got the phone she worked so hard for, she kept helping her neighbors. From watering gardens to shoveling snow, her acts of kindness became cherished memories. As she scrolled through photos on her phone, Chloe smiled, realizing it wasn't just a reward. It held the joy, laughter, and bonds she shared with her community. If you do good, good things happen. Kindness will always be rewarded. Keep helping others, and you'll discover the true treasures in life: friendship, joy, and love.